I'm excited to chat with you because you have this beautiful new song, Roads and Roses, out.
Yes.
And I know you're a singer-songwriter, but they also tend to describe your music as folk and a little bit um maybe rock a little as well. How do you tend to describe the music that you make?
Well, I don't want to get too Donny and Marie and say I'm a little bit rock and a little bit country, but I think that that's just how it is. We're so far past the origins of popular music. We're so far past the time when genres blend. It is really hard to figure out what you are when what you are is all of your influences filtered through you into something that is totally unique. I love melodies, I love harmonies, I love storytelling. I collaborate with amazing people and they bring their own ideas to the table. So when someone asks me, I guess I usually say something like you'd say. I'd say indie folk, indie rock, folk rock. But it's hard. I just say, look, I love bands like the Beatles and the Eagles and acts like Paul Simon and Cat Stevens and Leonard Cohen and Bob Dylan. So if you like that stuff, you like my stuff.
I was just about to ask you who were some of your musical influences. It sounds like they all tend, or at least some of them fall in that genre necessarily.
I think so. If you were popular in the middle the 20th century, I'm probably very much into you. That's the music that I grew up with. It's the music that I play when I'm at home. It's the music I learned to play on the guitar, and it's the music that I naturally gravitate towards when I'm coming up with my own melodies. It's hard not to be totally influenced by all of your influences, and when you live in a world where radio's been going on for so many decades, that you have oldie station, new stations, genre stations, it's hard to really pin yourself down, but I am very happy with Roads and Roses the way that it turned out. I always write songs on my acoustic guitar or my piano, and what really makes it is when I get into the studio with my collaborators. So in this case, I've got my drummer Cola, Sean Royal, who does so much of the bass and the guitar and the keys. We brought Izzy Ritchie from the Strumbellas to play the fiddle, which does give it that real folk sound. Then you're going to be influenced by the actual image you see. The photography was taken by my main photographer, Neil, and the artwork was done by Roberta Landritz. When you add it all up together and think about the ownership of any kind of music, who really actually owns the sound, the meaning, the genre, I think, hot take, it's actually the listener. That just like you bring the meaning to any novel you read, I think you're bringing the meaning to the song. You're bringing the meaning to the music. I hear from people, oh, you sound like Death Cab for Cutie. Oh, you sound like you know, Paul Simon or Billy Joel or any of these acts. I think that's as much about them as it does about me. I don't know if that's too
I,
long an answer to your questions.
I was just gonna say, I read that you write music for it to be enjoyed, and that's what hopefully any artist does, so that people can bring it into their life and interpret it in their own way and sort of envelop it and what they relate it to.
I love listening to music. I love listening to good music, and I love listening to any genre. If I'm gonna write music, I'm gonna write it because I want to sing it, because I want to hear it, and I hope other people do too. I don't think anybody wants to be listening to music, or very few people want to listen to music to be truly challenged. I think what they want is something that they can be entertained by, that they can be amused by.
A
And
little
then as they
soothed.
dig deeper, soothed by any of these words that talk about comfort and joy. And then as you dig deeper into the song and you listen to it many, many more times, then you can think about what do the lyrics mean to you? What do the lyrics mean in their context historically? What are those extra sounds you're hearing? Oh, is that a tambourine I never heard before because my sound system is better? That's Those are all the extra things, but at its core, and I think it was Billy Joel who said this, I could be mistaken, but he's like, it's all well and good to have a message, but if your music doesn't grab someone's ear, it doesn't really matter. And that, yeah, I just want people to listen to my music, and I hope that they like it. If they don't like it, I like it. And not to sound too much like Rick Rubin, but that's enough for me. Though I'm happy with every listener that I get.
Well, you do have this beautiful single out already. What has the fan response been so far to Roads and Roses?
I think people have liked it. I think someone described it to me as a bop. And so I've been telling people it's a bop. I don't know if that's accurate, but it's been good because the last couple of songs that I put out were very folky. Were very bare bones bedroom kind of music. Be Good was actually an interesting song because I recorded the guitar part for that. Usually I use studio musicians. It was very soft. No Heroes Here Tonight and was recorded also by me in a single studio. So these are all songs where like I'm doing a lot of the recording myself on the instrumentation, and I have one or two other collaborators, Kara McKinley and Sean Royal, always helping. Roads and Roses is back to the full studio sound, the hiring of the full studio musicians, the talking about it. What does it sound like? How do we make it happen? Cola Humphrey, who drums on it, really brought drive. So it's not just a folk song; it's got that rock song. That's kind of where that comes from. He heard something in the story that he brought to it. So the response has been really positive. I'm grateful that people are always giving me positive responses. I figure they're either giving me good responses, and if they don't like it, they won't say anything at all. I'm waiting for the day. I'm waiting for the day when I get hate. It means I've gotten under someone's skin so
That's
much.
right.
My work means so much to them that they feel that they have to hate on me. That'd be an important milestone for at least a day.
What inspired the song? Where did it stem from?
I would love to say that it was a story that I was exercising, but it's not. Like most of my songs, they are just stories. In this case, it started from this. I had it in my mind to write a song using the metaphor of a garden bed as the building of a relationship and a highway as the exiting of a relationship, and marrying those two together. I might have been partially influenced by the song Promises by Eric Clapton. He's got that line where he goes, how could we know where promise is? And, it's a really nice song. And I was like, yeah, what do you do when you make promises in the end? Maybe that's the connection. I know that there's like a thorns horns rhyme, but is there anything more that I can do with it? And it took me longer to write that song than most songs. Most songs I write like in an evening or a day, and then I come back to it and I refine it. In this case, I was so dedicated to the poem ahead of time that I just kept coming back to it until I made it work. I know songwriting exercise is not the most glamorous way to say
No.
that I wrote this song, but
You can be inspired by anything at this point, and that's where your
yeah,
creative juices came from, and that's what inspires. It's You could be listening to a bird chirp, and that's what inspires you. Any of these things, you could be answering a math problem, and all of a sudden you're like, well, what does it take to solve this problem in my life? And there you go. There you see. So these are
totally. Hey, let me ask you a philosophical question about inspiration. Do you think that inspiration needs to lead anywhere, or is inspiration just that feeling that you get when you respond positively to something? Like, how many times do you listen to a song and you think, "Oh, I feel," you don't act on it, you just keep that feeling for yourself? Is that inspiration, or is
Ooh, that's a good
inspiration?
question.
Yeah,
Um, I guess it's a both. The answer is both, because whether it leads somewhere or not, it still inspired you. It took you in a memory, maybe, or it took you into a place where you thought, okay, creatively I can do this, but I you don't act on it just yet, or maybe you forget, but it inspired you in that moment.
we often look at photographs or sunsets or smell things or taste things and describe them as inspired or inspiring. That's what made me think of that.
Well, how much of a hand do you have in the production side of the music you make? If you're busy writing these songs, do you have a full hand in all of everything?
I do, but I want to caveat that and say that I'm not the most savvy technician. I rely heavily on my collaborators, and I'm very grateful for the collaboration. But I am there from start to finish. It starts with a discussion. I write the songs, and I do home demos. And in my studio, mostly with my producer Calvin, who's also my engineer and mixer, we talk about the general vibe of the song. Then we'll bring in the other musicians. Probably most importantly, Sean Royal. He does an amazing job arranging the music, and he comes up with his own ideas. He was the one who thought to take Sorry from the Road, which was written like a Roy Orbison song, and turn it into a Springsteen kind of song, which I was fully on board with because he's one of my favorites too. You know, I would say it's very, very collaborative. When we all come together and write a part for like the fiddle or the trumpet. I have a song coming out with the trumpet at the end of May. With the trumpeter hears it and does some stuff, and I'll guide that, and Calvin and I will talk about it, what's catching. But a lot of that is just what he does. I don't think that the studio magic works if you're not collaborative. But selfishly, I would also say I'm there from front to back, and because my name is on it, I kind of, if I have something important to desire, I make it clear. If I have an instinct when someone plays something, I play it. And if I've written something and I want to keep it in, I make that known.
Is this a prelude to a full album or an EP perchance, or are you focused on singles for
Uh,
the moment?
I love your use of the word prelude. What's past is prologue, as the bard says. Yes, so I record songs in batches. They're never in isolation, but I release them one at a time. And I do that because it allows me to maximize reach. The first album I put out, I had 5 singles on 10 songs. And I remember I worked with an album artist, this guy named Michael Rycraft. He's awesome, but he sadly passed away, but he was an older gentleman. And he was like yelling at me, like, why are you putting 5 singles out before an album? That's too many. At the end of the day, I should have put 10 singles out, because you can see that the first 5 songs I put out got a bunch of streams, and then they really peter after that, because people don't have, even people who like me and want to listen to me aren't going to listen to more than 2 or 3 songs at a time. So I have 10 songs on an album that's called Days Never Know. I have all the artwork set, all the songs are mixed and mastered, but I got to be patient and release them one at a time. And that's what I'm going to do over the next 2 years. I'm back in the studio right now, recording another batch of 10 songs to be released over 2026 and 2027. I like having that pipeline. It gives me more flexibility, more freedom to listen to the mixes, more freedom to talk with my producer and think, what else do we need, or what can we strip away? How do we make it the most targeted we can? There's a certain amount of freedom to not having the pressure. It just requires a lot of patience to slowly build it up. So
So with this single here and new music in the works or in batches coming, is there some live performances, a tour on the way as well?
I've been playing. It's hard to tour. I'm not sure where you're at. I'm in Toronto,
Fort
Canada, and so
Lauderdale.
like Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Ah, beautiful, beautiful Florida. But like so many Canadian independent artists, it's really hard to do it full time. You have to have a full-time job, and I'm grateful that I've got a really supportive uh, job. I work at a bank here in Canada, and actually at our next team meeting, they've asked me to come in with my guitar and play a few songs. So that doesn't count as a performance. But I have been performing all around Toronto and I'm very lucky. I got into the North by Northeast Music Festival, which is a Toronto film festival, film music festival that's happening in June. So I'll be playing at the Cameron House on June 12th as part of North by Northeast. And it's a funny thing about performing live, because when I perform live, I don't have the full band. I put all my finances into the studio sound. So when I go, at
Sure.
least for now, I go with just an acoustic guitar, and it's really stripped raw, and it's me bare, and it's a different kind of sound. I think of it as me playing acoustic songs to like acoustic covers of songs that I love to a crowd that don't has never heard any of them before. And then if they like it, they can find the originals by some guy who sounds suspiciously like me. Um, but I do play anytime I can, anywhere I can, especially if I can get there, either in the city or if I get invited somewhere. I love playing. It's a different vibe. But there's always, sometimes actors talk about never knowing when their next job comes from. It's kind of the same thing. I always play as if it's my last performance, but then another opportunity comes up always, which is great.
My goodness. I know that you do a lot of performances with some incredibly talented musicians that contribute to the music you make. Are there any plans or any thoughts about collaborating with another musician by chance?
I always try to bring in great musicians if I can. I mean, I mentioned Sean Royal as well, and Cola Humphrey. Isabel Ritchie plays the fiddle on Rose and Roses, and she has a fiddle on a couple other songs that are coming out over the next year and a half. She's the strings player for a band called the Strumbellas, which is one of Canada's best bands, and so I'm very grateful to work with her. The next song coming out on May 31st, it's called Simply Because, and I brought in a Torontonian Ghanaian trumpeter named Rudy Ray Kwaku. He is um, amazing. He's so amazing that he records with Rizzo of the Wu-Tang Clan. He's so amazing that he records with like he went to a John Batiste concert, and John Batiste brought him on stage. He just happened to bring his trumpet. John Batiste's like, what's this trumpet? He's like, I'm a trumpeter. Brought him on stage. They played together. He's one of Canada's best trumpeters. He plays at Union Station, which is like our Grand Central Station in the summertime. I'm really excited to have collaborated with him. And who
Any
knows?
singers?
Not yet. Not yet. We're working on what we call a gang vocal, which is where I'm recording a song now, and we're going to get a bunch of musicians and people, singers, when they come into the studio. Calvin will say, "Can you sing this chorus line? It's going to make the song sound like there's a group of people singing it." But no, I mean, I'd love to collaborate. One of the things that I recognize is I couldn't necessarily sell my songs to people, so I have to record them myself. If people want to sing with me, I'd love to do that. There was one independent singer-songwriter named Jonathan Panetta, a friend of mine now. He reached out to me on social media. We actually wrote a song together, and then we did record it together. It's called Make Use of Your Time. Um, but yeah, I'm honestly, I'm open to the art of the possible when it comes to that stuff. I just, in the meantime, want to keep doing my own thing until more opportunities present themselves.
What would you like to say then to everyone who are fans and supporters of the incredibly beautiful music you put out into the world?
Uh, Thank you so much. the most important thing. Thank you. It means the world to me that you listen. It means the world to me that you like. Don't hesitate to follow me on social media. Don't hesitate to reach out. While I'm still small enough that I respond to everyone if I can. Um, but mostly just thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. I can see the streams. I can see where they come from. I know that it takes time to build it up, but I'm in a better place than I ever was, and that's because of the people who listen to my music. So gratitude is really what I'm trying to express.